This is Peter Hewitt, back again for laetestino.com with another book review. This time we're going to look at the long-anticipated Johanna Basford's third book, Lost Ocean. After the marvellous success of her first two books, this has been a long-anticipated book, and I've certainly been waiting with bated breath for it to come out. Now, the book here is printed by Penguin as opposed to her previous two books by a smaller publishing company, but they've followed the same pattern of having a removable cover with a print on the inside. Lovely blue cover itself, and the interior, as you can see, is printed on white paper instead of the cream of the first two books. Now, I have two thoughts on this. One is that her first two books came from a smaller publishing company, and that is just what they chose to use, where this is from Penguin, a much larger publishing company, and they've decided to go with a white look. Now, I actually prefer the white book for this particular theme because it's the ocean. The oceans involve lots of cool colours, lots of blue colours. I think they would stand out better on the white paper, so I'm quite happy with it. The paper itself is quite thick and cardy, fairly similar to the paper of her first two books. Now, before I go much further, I want to put in a word of warning. This is the book that was printed in China through the UK publishing company. There is another print which is printed in the US. I do not have a copy of this particular print, but I've been told that the print does not come with the dust cover, and also the paper is thinner and it may be problematic when using markers. As you can see with this book, if I turn the page, oops, here I've coloured this page with markers and gel pens, and there is absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. If you look on the other side, there's no bleed through. There's not even a shadow of a bleed through. And the gel pens sit on it quite nicely, and these markers I've used are Tombow markers, which are my favourite markers to use in colouring books because they go down so smoothly. There's the publishing information. As you can see, this one is printed and bound in China by Toppan Li Fang. The other book, I believe, as I said, is printed in the US. I can't speak for the other book. I don't have a copy. I can only tell you what I've heard. But we'll get on with this book. Now, my first impressions, as I said, the gel pens and my Tombow markers go down beautifully on this paper with no bleed through. I've used a mixture of Derwent Artist pencils here and the Polychromos pencils to do this page, and both of them go down beautifully. The tooth of this paper is very receptive to pencils, and it's very easy to blend and layer with it. I've completed a few of these pictures, which I like to do before doing these reviews for you, just so you can see how it turns out. Here again, we've got another hidden object book. I've already started to mark the objects that I've found so far in the pictures. I must say they are very well hidden, and quite a few times I've not spotted the object until I've actually come to colouring that particular portion of the page, and I go, oh yeah, there's a piece. So that's a lot of fun. And to keep up with it, every time I find a piece, I put a little mark next to the item to see how many of them I've got. It adds another dimension to the colouring, makes it a little bit more exciting, bit of fun. Now here's my first finished picture from the book. Very much enjoyed doing this. Lots of little detail, as you can see. This book probably has more little detail than either of her first two books, and there's a reason for that. According to what I've read from Johanna, she wanted to create a book that gave a wide variety of different colouring skill levels, where you could have very simple pictures or you could have very complex pictures, and you could pick which ones you like or challenge yourself with the more difficult ones. I found this one a little bit of a challenge. Very sharp pencils. That's my advice to you. Keep your pencils sharp just to get into all those tiny little corners and crevices. Otherwise, you could use fine liners. Fine liners would be perfect for this book. And indeed, later on I'll show you a page that I've started with fine liners. Now, let's just have a look at these gorgeous pictures. There you go, once again, some very complex mandala style pictures and pattern pages. And then you have these beautiful double spread panoramas. I think there's fewer panoramas in this book than there have been in her previous books, but as you can see, a lot of fun. This has larger areas to colour, so it's not quite as challenging as the tiny mandalas. And this was a lot of fun. I did this with Polychromos pencils, some Derwent Artist pencils, and pastels to shade. And you can see in a previous video how I went about shading this. These are very popular pictures. Quite a lot of fun. And you've got some nice double spread ones again with empty spaces around that you can use your imagination when it comes to filling, either with colours or pictures, or just leave them blank. And here you have what I call the wallpaper type pictures for people who like to colour in repetitive patterns. And a wall of fish. I'm really looking forward to doing this one. I can't wait to find out how many variations of colours that I can do in this book. With all those fish. Now here we go. This is what I was telling you about before. This one's been coloured in fine liners, and as you can see, these tiny little areas really do work well with fine liners. I'm using a bit of pencil here to pick out some of the backgrounds, just to define some of the areas. I haven't finished that one yet. It's the one I'm currently working on. Again, each of her books seems to feature a skull of some sort. I think that's some kind of signature of hers. And here's another one of those lovely panoramas. Again, you have to press them down quite a bit to flatten them, but the binding is sewn so that you won't have any problems with pages falling out as you do with other types of binding. Here's some nice jellies. Oh look, I've just spotted the ring, one of the rings. I love that in this book. Now, this one's a bit of a challenge. I've seen this one done by a few people, and it's not something that you're going to be spending just a couple of hours on, unless you come up with something very creative. But I kind of like the idea of taking it slow. You see, this is a very ocean and fish theme book. Again, another one of these ribbon spreads. And some simple sharks. You can get very creative in coming up with some kind of background for them, or you could just colour it in black, or you could create your own ocean floor for it. Or leave it alone if you like. Another complex mandala. And a rather cute comical octopus there with his treasure. And some shells. Another sort of a ribbon pattern there, with the boat at one end on the top of the ocean. That's quite cute, I like those too. And another double spread wallpaper. Again, if you like to colour in repetitive patterns, you could do them all the same colours, or you could mix it up and have different colours. Little circle of fish, and I'm not sure, I think they're probably sea serpents, I think, or eels, sea serpents or eels. This is nice, an underwater city. I wonder what sort of mermaids live here. This one here, you may notice, is exactly the same as the publishing page at the front, except instead of the publishing information, this has a building in it instead. There's a little round. You might like to add something to the middle, maybe a photograph, maybe a picture. Another very complex page, and then a simple page. A lot of variety in this book. More wallpaper pictures and another ribbon piece. That's lovely. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do these spaces around, but I'll work out something exciting. It's cute, a pair of dolphins and a lovely patterned whale. And this is going to take some time. This massive double spread wallpaper of mermaids. I love this picture too. I'm saving this one. And this one is very, very complex, very fine. I'm going to need my strong glasses for that one, I think. Another complex, quite complex wallpaper piece, and a very small ribbon piece to counterbalance it. And a little flow of different fish. Again, some empty spaces on either side that you could leave blank or fill in with your own drawings or doodles or colouring ideas. Now here's a piece that I've finished already. You can see that done on an earlier video where I demonstrate how to do the pastels, and I also have a speed painting of how I coloured in the fish. A lot of fun, just with, again, the Polychromos pencils, the Derwent Artist pencils, and a gel pen, and using the Winsor & Newton pastels, an old set that I have of the soft pastels, not oil pastels mind you, the soft pastels to do the backgrounds. Another piece. This just begs to be coloured, doesn't it? I mean, you could do it all in one theme colour, you could do it all in blues or purples, or just stick with warm colours or stick with cool colours, or you can have a great big cacophony of every colour you can think of in your box to put on there. And that is the end of the colouring book. Again, she's got the keys at the back here to tell you where the objects are, or to give you an indication of where the objects are. I won't show you those, we'll skip through. Here, of course, is where I experiment with my different mediums to make sure that they're suitable for the paper. I've done my different textures there, all which I'm happy to say do not bleed through. There's the Staedtlers, there's the Stabilos, there's the Tombos with 3 layers apiece on. These are Pitt pens, and this is the Tombos with water added to see what happens there. And nothing at all bled through, not a single thing. So in this particular book, you can use all those materials with confidence. Now, as a grand finale for this book, and it's going to be interesting to try and get this in camera, you've got this beautiful big, pull it out one at a time, long strip of a drawing here, which should take you a good deal of time to finish, but looks like tons of fun. As an added bonus, it's a perforated edge along here, so once you finish you can actually take this out and display it. And I'll just run this past the camera because it really is too big to show in great detail besides. And it's just gorgeous, isn't it? Beautiful big underwater themed piece. On the back of it is just a repeating pattern of a ribbon drawing, which you can colour that in too. And that brings us to the conclusion of this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly love this book and I would recommend it highly for any colourist. And happy colouring!